My brothers and sisters, welcome back to Africa Lights. Today, October 12th, 2025, a president boards a jet. Under the cover of darkness. No farewell speech. No motorcade fanfare. No national address. Just a silent departure and a nation holding its breath. Across the capital, something extraordinary unfolds. Tanks appear in Democracy Square not to suppress a protest, but to stand beside it. For the first time in Madagascar's modern history, the people and the soldiers are on the same side. This is not a movie. This is Madagascar, and its youth have just rewritten history. Forget the images of generals plotting in smoke-filled rooms. This was no conventional power grab. This was a digital age revolution coordinated by young citizens with smartphones, group chats, and a fierce belief that their country deserved better. While much of the world slept, Gen Z Madagascar turned frustration into action, peacefully, publicly, and without permission from the old guard. And by the time President Andry Rajoelina understood the scale of what was happening, the tide had already turned. Let's rewind. Madagascar, home to 32 million people. An island the size of Texas, is rich in beauty but burdened by inequality. For years, citizens have endured endless power cuts, water shortages, and economic stagnation. 3/4 of the population live below the poverty line. Hospitals lack basic supplies. Many schools operate without electricity. Meanwhile, the nation's leadership appeared insulated from these struggles. Luxury convoys rolled through dimly lit streets while neighborhoods remained in darkness. Frustration simmered quietly, but persistently until it reached a breaking point. The spark. A voice in the dark. It didn't start with a speech or a politician. It began with one video. A young woman barely out of her teens filmed herself standing in the dark of her powerless neighborhood. Her message was simple. We are the majority. And we are done waiting. That clip, shared on TikTok, spread faster than anyone imagined. Within 2 days, millions had viewed it. Within a week, crowds were gathering in Antananarivo and other cities, united under one hashtag #RajoelinaOut. There was no central leader, no political banner, just a generation demanding light, justice, and dignity. They called themselves Gen Z Madagascar, and they chose a surprising symbol. Luffy straw hat from One Piece, representing a pirate who defies empires and refuses to kneel. To them, it meant courage, unity, and rebellion against hopelessness. The gatherings multiplied. Night after night, they filled public squares singing, dancing, and chanting for change. Their protests were largely peaceful, driven by creativity, humor, and digital coordination, a powerful contrast to the old order's rigidity. By late September, the demonstrations could no longer be ignored. President Rajoelina dismissed his prime minister on live television, pledging reforms and listening to the youth. But trust had already evaporated. For many citizens, promises had become background noise to a much louder reality that the people were finally speaking for themselves. When the soldiers switched sides, October 11th, 2025, just before dawn, the Capsat elite unit, once loyal to Rajoelina, began to defect. They were veterans, not idealists, men and women who had served through years of instability. But this time, they made a different choice. Instead of confronting the demonstrators, they parked their vehicles beside them. Colonel John Rakoto stepped forward, lifted a megaphone, and declared, "We will not raise our weapons against our own people." The crowd erupted in applause and tears. In that moment, the entire balance of power shifted not through violence, but through unity. A peaceful transition no one expected by midday. Soldiers and protesters were marching together through the streets. Government buildings were surrounded but not attacked. Guards lowered their shields and joined the citizens. For once, power changed hands without a single recorded gunshot. What had started as a youth protest had become something bigger, a peaceful reclamation of voice and agency. By evening, rumors began to swirl. Eyewitnesses at Overthrown airport reported seeing a motorcade arrive quietly, escorted by a handful of security officers. A private jet was prepared on the runway. Shortly after, footage appeared online, unverified but widely shared, suggesting the president had boarded a flight out of the country. No official statement followed. State broadcasters went silent by nightfall. It was clear. Andry Rajoelina had left Madagascar. At 10 p.m., Colonel Rakoto stood on the same palace balcony where Rajoelina once declared victory years ago. He addressed the crowd gathered below. The people have spoken. Power belongs to them again. Fireworks burst over. Antananarivo, not state-sponsored ones, but community fireworks, bought and launched by ordinary citizens. Across the Sahel and the rest of Africa, messages of solidarity poured in from citizens, not governments. Young people are watching and learning. They're realizing that accountability doesn't always start in Parliament. Sometimes, it starts on a smartphone. A warning and a promise for older leaders across the continent. This moment is both a warning and a wake-up call. When young people lose faith in institutions, they don't disappear, they organize. And when digital communities turn into real-world movements, even the most powerful can find themselves outpaced by history. But for Madagascar, the real work begins now. Change is never complete on the day the headlines break. It's tested in the weeks that follow in schools, hospitals, and the power lines that must finally stay on. The world is watching to see whether this new chapter brings stability, justice, and opportunity, or whether old patterns will return under a new name. So, what really happened in Madagascar wasn't just the end of a presidency. It was the start of a generational awakening, a reminder that leadership belongs to those who serve and that power, in the end, returns to the people. The night President Rajoelina left may go down as one of the quietest coups in African history, but its echo will be heard across the continent. 4 years to come. Question to you, viewers. Could this digital age wave of civic action spread further? Will the next generation in Africa shape their nations the same way? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more deep dives. And stay tuned because history in Africa is being rewritten, one country at a time.